Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be profiling a trap ABC deck profile that utilizes Lord of the Heavenly Prison from Burst of Destiny. Obviously control decks love Lord of the Heavenly Prison. If you don't know what it does, it says during your main phase you can activate this card, this effect. This card in your hand becomes revealed until the end of your opponent's turn. While this card is revealed by this effect, set cards on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. That's the first effect, and obviously in a control deck it's really strong. And then the second effect is the part that I find really fascinating. If a set spell trap card is activated, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then if you activated this effect while this card was revealed, you can reveal and set one spell trap directly from your deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. And you can only use one effect of it per turn and only once that turn. So obviously in a control deck, this is really good for that first effect, being able to reveal it and prevent your spell traps from being destroyed. One of my favorite control decks is Altergeists, and that first effect would be really, really nice. However, the second effect would be a lot harder to utilize because once you use Multi-Faker, well, even before you can't summon both Lord of the Heavenly Prison and Multi-Faker in the same turn. So a lot of those control decks have some very interesting restrictions like that. I know in Eldritch, for example, again, protecting the spells and traps is really nice, but if you've used Scarlet Sanguine, you're unable to then use Lord of the Heavenly Prison. So I was thinking about the second effect, and I was thinking what deck could utilize a set spell trap, and obviously it's any spell trap directly from the deck. And ABCs being one of my favorite strategies, I thought, well, Union Hangar does a lot for the deck. Union Hangar is a one-card combo, and if you haven't already seen Union Hangar, Lord of the Heavenly Prison can act as 3 more copies of Union Hangar, provided the deck is built in a certain way. So I'll run you through the profile. Like I said, it's a trap ABC variant of the deck. We are playing, of course, 3A Assault Core, 3B Buster Drake, and 3C Crush Wyvern with the 1 Union Driver. So these are our Union monsters. I'm sure everyone knows what they do. Of course, they've got the Union effect where they can equip each other. If A is equipped, you're unaffected by monsters. If B is equipped, unaffected by spells. And if C is equipped, unaffected by traps. And then if A is sent to the graveyard, you can recur a Union monster to your hand. If B is sent to the graveyard, these are all from the field, by the way. B adds a Union monster, and C special one from hand. And then Union Driver, if it's equipped, can banish itself to equip another Union monster to the equipped monster, which is a way of bypassing the not being able to special summon them from Hangar. So they're the 10 Union monsters we're playing. Our only real extenders in the deck, and because I'm playing a slower list, I've decided to opt out of the extenders as such. I'm not really playing Galaxy Soldier or anything like that. I'm just playing 1 gold and 1 silver gadget. That's all I really had space for, because I'm playing some more trap cards and things. Also trying to fit in things like the Lord of the Heavenly Prison does obviously take up space, but because Lord of the Heavenly Prison can be an extender, obviously it's a very slow extender, but it also then gives you access to Union Hangar, I thought it definitely deserves the space. So I'm playing 1 gold and 1 silver. If you see them, they're great. Otherwise, if your platinum gadget gets popped, you've got something that you can float into for no reason. So playing just 1 of each is fine, I think. The spells, playing 3 Union Hangar, 3 more Union Hangar essentially, may as well be, and 2 more Union Hangar. And I'm playing 1 Gateway to Chaos. This is a meta call for me. At my locals, there's a lot of different field spell decks, whether it's Mystic Mine, whether it is Guru, whether it is even Flunderees now with the new field spell, with this field spell they've got. So being able to lock certain decks out of field spells, if you happen to draw the set rotation, is fine. I was originally playing this as Pseudo Space, because obviously there's a world where Pseudo Space comes up with Union Hangar. If we're thinking about consistency and the deck itself being able to perform really well, it's probably better as Pseudo Space, but it just means that set rotation becomes an out to Mystic Mine, which is something that I want to have. And then I'm playing 1 Union Scramble. I originally was playing this at 2 with a copy of Trap Trick as well, just to have more traps. But because I've discovered, not really discovered, but I've worked out a very cool combo that allows us to see Lord of the Heavenly Prison a lot more. which means that if we need Union Scramble, we can just set it from Lord of the Heavenly Prison. It's probably something that I would side if I was going first, but otherwise going second, it's not really ideal, because going second with this deck, you do need to be able to play through your opponent's board and establish Buster. And so that's that, and that's why the trap variant of this deck is obviously not as good as the hand trap variant, because the hand traps, at least going second, they slow down your opponent a lot more, whereas the traps do need to be set for that full turn before you can. But there's workarounds that I put into it. That being said, Union Scramble, really good going first. Going second, it's pretty useless. So I've just left it in though as a one-of that can be set off Lord of the Heavenly Prison. If we don't have access to Hangar, or if we already have access to Hangar, I should say. And then the key card of the deck, the main reason why I've built it this way, is Lord of the Heavenly Prison. I just think it's a really crazy card and definitely has a lot of cool applications that I'm working on exploring. Continuing with, I guess we could call these the disruptive cards. I'm still playing some hand traps. I'm playing Ash. Just because, again, if it's all trap cards, you're not really going to be able to establish a Buster. At least if you've got some disruptive cards that are at least good going second without having to set them first, you can maybe get to Buster, which is good. So I'm calling this a hand trap. It's Forbidden Chalice because it's good going second as well as going first, obviously. So you can set it. It flips, which is Lord of the Heavenly Prison's requirement that it flips up. But as well, going second, you can use it to just negate something if you need it to. So between the Ash, the Chalice, and then the Impermanence that's coming up, that gives us 8 cards that are good going second and going first. I've also got 1 Call by the Grave, and then the trap cards that we're playing, we are playing Solemn Strike because it's just really strong, playing the Infinite Impermanence and Torrential Tribute. Just because I think these are just, as far as trap cards go, they are very strong, and Impermanence obviously doubles as a hand trap, giving us, again, 8 cards going second that can at least be activated straight away to help us get to Buster. For the extra deck, we are of course playing 3 Buster. Buster as a card is just insane. The recurability of your pieces is amazing. And then the once per turn banish is nice as well as a quick effect. I'm playing 1 Gallant Granite. Of course, it searches rock monsters, so we're going to be searching for the Lord of the Heavenly Prison because he is a rock. And there's a cool combo with Bajinki Ahashima that gets us to Gallant Granite. IP gets us to Buster. It does everything that we could ever want in this type of deck. For the links, which is the rest of the extra deck, we're playing 1 Underworld Goddess. Underworld Goddess is really strong. Of course, we're playing Appaloosa. Appaloosa is the one card I think in the extra deck that I'm not sold on. Appaloosa could very easily be something like a Dugaris. It's just if you, for example, already draw the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, having something like Dugaris to maybe draw 2, discard 1, just gives you access to more traps. Obviously, you can put pieces in the grave. It's probably something I'll end up doing, but at the moment I've just left it as Appaloosa. This should definitely be an access code talker in this deck. You can link climb really easily through Nightmares into access code talker. The fact that Borrelsword requires 3 plus effect monsters just makes access code talker that little bit easier to summon in this deck specifically, because you can link climb through by looping Sea Crush Wyvern a few times to get from a link 2 up to the link 4. So access code will be a better choice in this deck. I've ordered my gold rare, which is coming, so that would be really good. The 3 Nightmares, because we do have quite a bit of space in the extra deck. Then playing 1 Platinum Gadget. Platinum Gadget is essential if the only card you get is Hangar, but otherwise most of our combos rely on Hangar plus an extra piece. Hangar plus a piece gets us into the Bajinki Gallant Granite combo. Hangar plus a piece gets us into IP as well, which is really good. So yeah, we're more reliant on Gadget, Hangar plus a piece, but having Gadget means that Hangar on its own is Buster, which is good. The Bajinki Ahashima, the IP Masquerena. I'm playing 1 Line of the Light Charmer just to help get bodies on the board, which then eventually gets us into Underworld as well. And Clara and Rushka is insane if you do have to go second, not needing to rely on Union driver, being able to just go straight for the piece. Just stops you getting, I mean, obviously Lancia does hurt the deck from accessing Buster, but at least lets you make plays by having Clara and Rushka, rather than relying on driver going second. But I'll show you the Bujinki Ahashima combo that gets us to pretty much everything we need, as well as a couple of test hands. Okay, so for this combo, obviously we need Hangar plus a piece. Now Hangar in this deck can also be represented by any piece and unauthorized reactivation, because it needs a piece to do its effect. So Hangar plus a piece or unauthorized plus 2 pieces will do the same thing, which of course means we have 3 extra cards in our hand, which ideally would be other disruptive cards to set or as hand traps. But we are going to activate Union Hangar. Now, depending on which piece you have, B and C go together. A is standalone. So if you've got C, you're going to search A. If you've got B, you search A. If you've got A, you can search either of these, it doesn't matter. But B and C are the ones that we're going to use first with Hangar, and then A will come later. So because I've already got C, Hangar will search us A. And C is going to be our normal summon. And then Hangar is going to activate, and it's going to equip our driver to the C. Then we will banish the driver for its effect and equip B. Now that B hasn't been equipped by Hangar, we can special summon it and we can link. Now this is where the extra piece is really important, because having a target in hand is going to be essential to activate both Bujinki and Sea Crush Wyvern, and they can share a target. So Bujinki says on link summon, you can special summon a monster from your hand with the same, sorry, 2 monsters with the same level, 1 from hand, 1 from graveyard, negate their effects, and then immediately exceed summon using those 2 monsters. C, for C to activate, you of course need to have a legal target in your hand, but C can special summon the monster that you search off B if you do stack your chain links accordingly if you need to do that. We don't need to do that in this combo, so we're going to go chain link 1 Bujinki, that's really important. Chain link 2 can be B, just because we want to protect the B from Ash. Chain link 3 is going to be C, because we already have that legal target in our hand. So because Bujinki has a target in hand, we can activate it. Because C has a target in hand, we can activate it. And then as we resolve these effects, as long as we have a target in hand, we can resolve them properly. So they can share the target. Even though C will summon out the target first, Bujinki will have a target on resolution, so that's why we can do that. But C will special summon the A. The B will resolve next as chain link 2. I like to search B as my second piece, and then the Bujinki is going to resolve. And because again we have a monster in hand as a target, we can special summon 2 monsters with the same level from hand and 1 from grave, negate their effects. So we'll summon the B from hand. It doesn't matter what we summon from the graveyard. And then we immediately exceed summon using both. And we are summoning Gallant Granite. Now we are free to detach to the Gallant Granite. It won't get its effect because they have to be sent from the field, and when they're materials, they're not from the field. Gallant Granite will search us for Lord of the Heavenly Prison, not Union Scramble. And then we are free to link off Gallant Granite and A into IP Masquerena. The A will trigger because it was sent from the field to the graveyard, and because we have our excess piece, which is B, we can add that to our hand, and we're free to now banish A, B, and C to summon out Buster. So with our combo, obviously there would be 3 other cards in our hand. Ideally they would be trap cards. We could then, of course, before we end our turn, activate the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, so it would be revealed during our opponent's turn. And as soon as we activate one of our set cards, we then get to also set something new. And because in this case we do have Hangar, we could definitely go for the Union Scramble, which means we wouldn't need to tag out the Buster. Maybe we still do, but this is just going to give us a lot more bodies, depending on, I guess, the board state. That's obviously the decision you have to make when you get to that point. So what you would do is, let's say we did have 3 traps. I would just go 1 of each. So hypothetically, if our 3 other cards in hand were Torrential, Infinite Impermanence, and Solemn, We would keep him revealed for the first 2, just so that they're protected. Obviously, torrential would affect this board state quite a bit. Let's just make it a chalice. So we've just got 3 other effect negation here. And then we've used these already. And then on the 3rd one, we use the chalice, and then we can trigger the Lord of the Heavenly Prison to do its thing and set a card. Now, it doesn't always go graveyard. You would decide in that position if you've obviously taken care of all of your opponent's resources. You could then obviously go for the Union Scramble. If they've dealt with Hangar and you want Hangar as follow-up, you can get Hangar. It really is then up to you, I guess, based on where the game is at. I like using IP, so obviously we tag out the Buster for 3 pieces. IP into Underworld Goddess is really strong on your opponent's turn as another disruption. But I guess depending on the matchup, you could then summon the Appaloosa if that's what you would prefer, or obviously Unicorn is an option too. But that's kind of where this deck aims to go. If you don't open Hangar, but you open just a bunch of trap cards and Lord of the Heavenly Prison, it just means on turn 3, you have access to Hangar. And hopefully your disruptions are enough to keep your opponent from OTKing you. I'll just do a couple of test hands and we'll see what we can do. Okay, so for our first test hand, we have Infinite Impermanence, Union Hangar, Gateway to Chaos, Union Driver, and Forbidden Chalice. So this hand is obviously a little bit unfortunate opening the Driver, but we have not much of a play really. But it's going to be open. It's Union Hangar, normal B, add the B, normal to B. We could equip the C. If the C dies, obviously we can special summon the Driver, and we're just setting the Imperm and the Chalice. So obviously not very good. We probably die through this. But we opened up Driver, which is never fun. And of course, we're not playing many extenders, so that's just the luck of the draw, I suppose. Okay, for our second test hand, okay, so this is just the combo I showed you earlier, plus we've got our 3 destructive cards, so that works out really nicely. Going second, if this was going second hand, we've got Chalice to stop something, and the 6th card is Strike. So whether or not we can get to Buster would be obviously dependent on the matchup that we're against. 1 Chalice going into, obviously if this was against a Drytron deck, the 1 Chalice is doing nothing. And then obviously the Hangar would then obviously just get negated. But depending on the deck, we could potentially get to Buster. But that being said, once we set our 3 trap cards here, going into our opponent's turn, depending on the deck, our 2 strikes and a TT could hopefully be enough. Third test hand. Okay, so that is an interesting hand. We're not going to be able to get to a Buster here. I guess in a hand like this, having something like Dugari's in the extra deck wouldn't be the worst, because this is actually going to get us to... we can easily get to the Bujinki and to a rank 4. So we would go normal gold. We could use gold to summon silver. Silver to summon B. Not ideal, but we could do that. We could link off the B and the silver gadget. Obviously, now, if we were going to do the Bujinki play, we would not use silver. We would obviously keep silver and just use gold and B for Bujinki. Hypothetically for this one, we will go into Platinum Gadget. if I was running Jagaris, this is a place where you go into Jagaris to draw 2 cards deeper and hopefully see Hangar. From here, we've linked off B and Silver into Platinum Gadget. The B will get its effect to search A. We can special the A through Platinum Gadget. And again, if we had Jagaris, overlay. But in this hand, I guess we link off into IP Masquerena. Not ideal. A can add back the B, which is fine. And we're setting the imperm. So this is not super strong. And we're revealing Lord of the Heavenly Prison. So once we do activate the imperm, we do obviously get access to Hangar, but whether or not we survive until that point would be, again, up to whatever deck our opponent is playing. But I guess in a hand like that, you can see that it was less than ideal, but yes, we get Hangar on turn 3, but we do have more ways into Hangar, which the deck really needs and kind of lives and dies by. Okay, well there's Hangar, which is great. Okay, so this on its own, obviously set rotation is going to give us Hangar. It's going to give them Gateway to Chaos. Now, if you didn't know this, unless they are playing a dedicated Blackluster Soldier Ritual deck or a Gaia the Fierce Knight deck, they physically are not allowed to activate the Gateway to Chaos because it's mandatory to add. So it remains set. So if they're playing a field spell deck, that card cannot be activated, and it cannot be replaced with a new field spell because of set rotation. So they're stuck under Gateway to Chaos. That's why I've opted for that, just because, again, at my meta, at my locals, there's a few more field spells running around. Then we obviously activate Hangar. This will be just the Platinum Gadget combo that I explained a second ago. Or I didn't explain, but mentioned. So we'll go for B. We'll normal the B. Hangar. We'll equip Driver, which we are free to banish. Put down A. Doesn't really matter which one we go for in this instance, because we're going to special A, link them off for Gadget. We're only going to activate the B here because we need the A to stay in the graveyard. So this is, I guess, where you could get ashed. B, search C. Most people wouldn't ash Hangar for fear of getting gammed if you've got no other monsters on the field. Platinum, special C, and then you just banish it straight from the field with the B and the A for the Buster. This all dies to Nibiru. There's not really a way to get Buster out without losing to Nibiru. But here we will set our Torrential. Of course, we're going to reveal Lord of the Heavenly Prison to our opponent. We've got our Buster, we've got Torrential, we've got Ash. We've got great follow-up, of course, if the Buster survives. If the Buster was to somehow just maybe get Kaiju'd right off the bat, Lord of the Heavenly Prison would get us to Scramble, which would recover our pieces, which is why we're playing it at 1, because you get it if you need it. I'll just do one more, and that will be it. Okay, in our last test hand, we have a Assault Core, set rotation, Solemn Strike, C, Crush Wyvern. Okay, so again, just by looking at this, we've got Hangar plus a piece. Having extra pieces is, I guess, what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. But we've got extra pieces. This would, of course, get us to Bajinki, would get us to Lord of the Heavenly Prison. We've got our Strike as an activatable card for the Lord of the Heavenly Prison. So, yeah, we have plenty to do with that hand. But otherwise, that will be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, it's a different take on ABCs. It's not necessarily the most competitive version, but it's just something different, something that you can do with Lord of the Heavenly Prison, just because I think it is a fascinating card. But otherwise, thank you for watching.